All right, let's talk about something really powerful, quantitative methods. Now, I want you to think of this as a manager's scientific toolbox, a secret weapon for making sharp, strategic decisions when business gets complicated.
So, let's get right into it. If you're a manager, or you want to be one, you know the feeling, right? You've got these huge, high-stakes decisions to make, but the future is, well, it's a giant question mark. And just winging it, trial and error, that's just not going to fly when real money and resources are on the line.
Which brings us to this classic debate. Is making a big business decision more of an art form? You know, something you do based on gut feeling and years of experience, or is it a science, driven by cold, hard data and analysis? That's really the core question we're going to unpack. And this is where the rubber meets the road. Look, going with your gut, it can feel right, it's fast, for sure, but man, is it risky. And trying to explain it just felt right when a decision blows up in your face, good luck with that. But a data-driven approach, that's totally different. It's systematic. You're building a solid, logical case for your decision before you pull the trigger. It's defensible.
All right, so here's the plan for our little tour today. We've talked about the manager's dilemma. Next, we're going to open up this quantitative toolbox, starting with the absolute basics, then moving up to some seriously advanced strategic tools. And we'll finish by seeing how all of this gives you, the manager, a killer edge.
Okay, let's pop the latches on that toolbox, because these quantitative methods, they are the solution to that dilemma we were just talking about. It's all about taking a scientific, structured approach to turn those messy, super complex problems into something clear, something you can actually solve.
Now, it's really important to get this. We're not just talking about crunching a bunch of numbers. No way. This is a whole process. You're using mathematical and statistical models to help your organization solve problems faster, with more accuracy, and, without wasting a ton of money. It's about being smart and efficient.
And the process itself? It follows a really logical path, step by step. First, you've got to define the problem. Crystal clear. Then you build a model that represents that problem. After that, you feed it the data it needs. You solve the model, and then, and this is the most important part, you actually do something with the results. You implement them. It's a clear roadmap from, uh-oh, we have a problem, to, okay, here's the solution.
All right, let's pull open the top tray of our toolbox. We got to see how this all builds up. Because before you can start playing with the really complex models, you absolutely need to have a solid grasp of the basics. These are the non-negotiable, foundational math concepts every single manager needs.
Yeah, we're talking about stuff like number systems, simple fractions, and basic equations. And I know, this might sound a little like high school math class, but trust me, this stuff is the absolute bedrock. If you don't have a solid handle on this, all those fancy, advanced tools, they're basically useless.
Let's take ratios, for example. Super simple idea, right? It's just a way to compare two numbers. So if your company has, say, 150 men and 200 women on staff, you can simplify that down to a 3-to-4 ratio. It's a really basic tool, but man, does it make for a powerful comparison.
So why should you care? Well, because managers are using ratios all the time to turn a pile of raw numbers into something that actually means something. You can compare sales in New York versus LA. You can analyze the makeup of your workforce. You can track how fast your costs are rising. It's all about giving those numbers some much-needed context.
Okay, foundation's in place. Let's move to the next level of our toolbox. Now that you've got the basics down, you need tools that help you make sense of the tidal wave of data every business creates. And this, my friends, is where statistics comes into play.
The first stop is something called descriptive statistics, and its entire job, its whole reason for being, is to take these massive, overwhelming piles of data and boil them down into something you can actually understand. We're talking tables, charts, graphs, anything to give you a clear snapshot picture of what's really going on.
And this is exactly why data visualization is so incredibly powerful. I mean, look at this. A boring spreadsheet of contract expenses, your eyes would glaze over. But a chart like this one, bam! You instantly see the carpenter is getting the biggest slice of the budget pie. The insight just hits you right away, because the visual makes the data talk.
But visuals can only take you so far. Sometimes you just need a single, solid number to hang your hat on. And that's where we start calculating key things like the mean, the average. Finding the average rental price, for instance, gives you one single number that represents the whole story. It's an essential shortcut to get a quick grasp on things. Okay, now we get to the really fun stuff. Let's dig deeper into the toolbox and pull out the most advanced gear, the tools that help managers actually look into the future, predict what's coming, and map out a winning strategy.
One of these powerhouse tools is called game theory. And yeah, as the quote says, it's about modeling conflict and cooperation. Just think about it for a second. How do you decide what to charge for your product when you know your competitors are going to react? Game theory is like a strategic war game, helping you think through all their possible moves so you can figure out your absolute best play.
Then there's another heavy hitter, regression analysis. This is your crystal ball. Seriously, it's all about forecasting. It helps you uncover the hidden relationships between different things in your business so you can predict what might happen if you change one of them. It's basically the ultimate what-if machine for managers.
So what does that mean for you? Well, it means you can finally get real answers to those huge, nagging questions. Questions like, how much does our marketing spend actually move the needle on sales? If we dump another 50 grand into ads, what will happen to our revenue? It lets you stop just guessing about the future and start making some seriously educated predictions.
All right, let's wrap this all up. After looking at all these tools from the simple to the complex, what's the big takeaway? What's the ultimate payoff for mastering this quantitative toolbox? It's simple. You gain a massive, serious competitive edge.
At the end of the day, this is the real power we've been talking about. It's about taking that thick fog of uncertainty we mentioned at the very beginning and turning it into a clear, strategic advantage. When you have these tools, you're not just guessing your way through the dark anymore. You're navigating with a map and a compass. And here's what's in it for you, the manager. You start solving complex problems way faster. Your decisions, they get a whole lot more accurate. You stop wasting company resources and start using them efficiently. And maybe the biggest shift of all, you stop seeing risk as this scary monster to avoid, and you start seeing it as a calculated opportunity just waiting to be seized. So, I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Now that you know what's in this scientific toolbox, what's one big decision, maybe at work, maybe even in your personal life, that you could approach totally differently, with more clarity, more data, and a whole lot more confidence?